And we are back, and as we had mentioned, just as promised, going back to the U18 bracket, we're catching back in at the quarterfinals. We missed our round 1 action. Those were going on in the background while we watched our U15 grand finals, which, again, reiterating, both the Celtics and the Valkyries have both secured their ticket to the National Invitational next weekend for that U15 bracket. Now it's time to settle the score and figure out our top at least 6 teams that will be guaranteeing themselves a spot in that National Invitational next week, as well as obviously figuring ourselves a best team in Alberta here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see some more matchups here. We're going to be looking at the Miners and Spartan Spears playing in this next match here. From what we've seen of both these teams, I do believe this should be a close match moving into the gameplay here.
Yeah, I feel like of our 4 quarterfinal matchups, probably the one that I anticipate to be the closest. Let's be honest, EMT Marauders, I think we all kind of expect them to make their way to the grand finals. I don't think a lot of people are expecting an upset there as far as just because they looked so darn good on stream. That top 4 could be fun to watch as far as seeing those quarterfinal matchups. We'll definitely check out that semifinal matchup here next, but we talk about quarterfinals. I was hoping to find us a match that would go to game number 4, maybe even a game number 5, because we've been seeing a lot of sweeps on the day, and I want to showcase our students as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this match is going to give us the best opportunity to do that. But I do want to talk about Samurai Gold as well, since you brought up the Marauders. They also looked incredibly good in the match that we did watch. And so potentially seeing them in the semifinals, or lack of seeing them in the semifinals, will be incredibly interesting to see next.
Do get ready. Again, keeping in mind we are in best of 5 territory here. So game number 1, maybe not quite as important as in those shootout series that we had earlier on the day, those best of 3s, but still a whole heck of a lot of weight as well, because once you win one more win and you're on that series point. So let's go ahead and take to the pitch and get down and do what it do for some quarterfinal action.
Yeah, already looking pretty good here as we see a goal go in. Fishy Friend, how do I say that? Fishy Friend going in, getting a goal early, 9 seconds into the game.
I'll be honest, I've just been running with Fishy Friends. I'm not sure if the AHK is an acronym or if it's initials or what, but Fishy Friend, we saw them earlier on the day and they were leading the way quite a bit for this squad, and definitely exciting to see them already finding success. Now with Sir Penguin looking to go coast to coast off of the kickoff, and if they would have pulled off that dunk, I can only imagine just how much of an excitement would have came from that team off of back-to-back goals.
Yeah, and already switching from U15 to U18 here, we're seeing quite a high level of pacing in the way this game is being played compared to the previous match.
A shot across here for the Miners as Moali will be able to find that second, and do have to agree, pace moved up a notch here a little bit, and I would imagine with each series that we continue to watch from here on out, we can continue to expect that to be the case, as that margin for error dwindles down and the skill ceiling continues to rise. As far as for now, though, the Miners looking to maybe add a third. Can't find it there. Fishy Friend will be denied on the first look. It will be Ball who looks to try and find it there, but also can't find a third.
Well, looking real close around the net here. Very, very concerning. The Spartan Spear unable to find a little bit of respite in getting the ball out of their half of the field.
We're a minute into this game and it's already been 6 shots for the Miners. That's the type of pressure that we have seen from the boys in blue. The boys and girls in blue have been doing a phenomenal job of keeping the pressure on in, and well, Moali and company, they just continue to just make sure that the ball finds no time down on this orange side. Matter of fact, 3/4 of the opening 75 seconds have been spent down on the orange side. But for Dragon Master, they say, you know what? It's efficiency that's the key. It's the second shot, first goal, and you know what? They're able to cut this down to a 2-goal deficit.
Yeah, Spartan Spear able to make their time in the blue half count as they put down another goal. About 15 seconds after the last they had just been scored on. Looking a lot better on the offense than they do on the defense.
And a half gone by, still more time. for Spartan Spear to make some adjustments, but their defense continues to get tested. It feels like the big thing for the Miners is they're doing a really good job of controlling the sky. For Spartan Spear, you have to find a way to be able to ground this game, because it feels like when they have the possession, they're doing a pretty good job of keeping the ball moving, but when it's in the open field, the Miners just seem to be playing a step faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Miners definitely have an advantage when it comes to that. I think finding a way to either get up there and contest them a little earlier, I think, might also aid in the Spartans' ability to contest.
Woo, bar down ski from Sir Penguin the fourth, as we do see the fourth goal added on to the tally here for the Miners. A second for Sir Penguin. Everyone has been involved over on that blue side as well. I think the one thing that really stands out to me is also equal shot distribution. 9 shots from the Miners, 3 apiece for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is something that we noticed earlier, is that the Miners do have good team cohesion when it comes to how they play the game in their rotations. And it definitely shows in their shot count. And I wanted to call back to the goal we had just witnessed from Sir Penguin. The control to be able to just tip the ball in like he did is immaculate.
There's that control on display one more time, as it's now a 5th goal in the opening half of play for the Miners, as they have come out on a mission and they have refused to let up.
Yeah, one more goal from Sir Penguin and he'll be living up to his name in the truest sense.
Now I feel like if you are Spartan Spear, you gotta find a way to really buy some time, and I can't help but wonder if it starts with a demo. I feel like we have not seen much of that from them. You take a player, you put them back into respawn, all of a sudden there's one less player forward in your defensive third, because right now it's been an all-out assault towards the net. It just feels like so much pressure from the Miners. 6 goals off of 14 shots, and as they continue to pepper away, eventually openings like that present itself, and it's just too easy for them to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think demos is definitely something we see a lot of teams that are significantly higher in the standings utilize a lot. For example, the Marauders in their match, we saw them utilizing demos a lot to take advantage of the pressure it generates from having a player off the field.
Did you pack your bags, Pep?
You know, I don't think I have yet, but I might have to.
You might need to. It looks like we're off to warmer places here, as we're off to Brazil. The 7-1 here for the Miners, and it's Sir Penguin the fourth that has truly been leading the charge. 5 goals to their name off of just 7 shots. It's quite the shooting clip to be at here in a game number 1 when you're looking to set the tone. And for the Spartan Spear squad, they just haven't really had much to build upon in the first 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, I felt like they've just been playing on the back foot for this entire game here, just trying to find an opportunity to get the ball out to the other side with enough boost in order to mount an offensive.
Mo Ali will be able to keep it, or Mo Ali, I think it's Mo Ali, right? Mo Ali keeps it alive down on this side. Apologize for mispronunciation on that. As leaves it off for Fishy Friend, who goes coast to coast with it, up and over one, and just drops that thing on and slots it top left corner Binsky's, as it's now 8-1.
Yeah, and just looking at the shot count right now, we're almost at 20 shots, 18 for the Miners. Incredibly high shot score. I honestly don't think in any of the games we've seen today has reached as high as it has in this match.
I do think that this is the most shots that we have seen on stream today. You know, it's not very often you see tallies get up over 10, let alone 15, but we're darn near to a 20-piece nugget, which would be crazy to think about here for the Miners. Especially, again, this is only game number 1. This was the tone setter game, and the Miners have just come out and absolutely controlled the pace. I think the other thing that really stands out to me is the difference in speed that these two teams are playing with. It's like the two teams, like, average speed out on the pitch right now is almost a 9-kilometer-an-hour difference. Right now, the Miners just playing so much faster.
Yeah, and I think that speed is what's giving them so much opportunity just to get these goals in. And in the next game, I'd like to see the Spartan Spears here be able to come back and pick that pace up a little bit, be a little bit less worried about whether the ball is coming to the net and whether or not they're going to bring the ball to the enemy's net.
Final 6 seconds. I thought maybe you could punch one in here for Spartan Spear, but it does look like the defense will continue to hold the line. Pops up, maybe one last chance off a 0-second opportunity, but instead it touches down, and for the Miners, it was complete control in that very first game.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic performance from the Miners. An absolute show of a first match here. And I would really like to see the Spartan Spear take a little step back here and maybe say like, hey, maybe we need to take a look at what they're doing and see how we can combat that, right? And maybe we need to pick up the pace a little bit, be a little bit more risky. They still have the opportunity in this best of 5 in order to play with more risk on the pitch.
Despite the fact that the Spartan Spear squad maybe weren't able to find success in adding to their tally on their side of the scoreboard, when you look at how things looked in the first minute compared to how things looked over the course of the last 2, it did feel like the Spartan Spear defense started to be able to weather the storm a little bit better. Remember, it felt like the Miners came out to an absolute fireworks show in the first half of play. So maybe the fact that you get to go out here to game number 2 and start back out in an even playing field, not feel that pressure of playing from behind, maybe that'll help them find a little bit more success on the offensive side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if they can take the lessons that they learned from this last match near the end there and apply that in this next match, I think they're going to have a good fighting chance in this series.
Mentioned earlier how that first game doesn't hold as much weight as we move into the best of 5s, and that's because game number 2 really is the heavy game. Because if you lost game number 1, but you bounce back and win, well, all of a sudden it's a best of 3 and you're not really sweating things. But if you drop back-to-back games, now you're the one who's having to open up the cupboard and break out that broom in the reverse sweep, as well as stop the sweep of the opposition who already has so much momentum. So while dropping game number 1 probably doesn't feel the best right now as you do get prepared here for game number 2 in Spartan Spear, you just reset. You put the blinders on. You have that really good, bad short-term memory and just play out game number 2.
Absolutely. Can't be a game 1 Andy, especially once you get to best of 5s.
Facts are facts. No printer in here indeed. Let's go ahead and get down to it. Let's get our players on in this lobby because I want to see the Spartan Spear squad step up to the challenge. Send us off to a rubber match in game number 3. That's what I would be about, but let's go ahead and not just talk about it. Let's be about it. It's time for game number 2.
Yeah, good little kickoff here going into game number 2. Again, Miners putting it up into the zone of the Spartan Spears.
It's a good start for Mo Ali. Was looking for Sir Penguin. Might find that one, but anything that we do know about the Miners is they're definitely going to give themselves more opportunities than just the one over the course of the 5 minutes. It's up to the Spartan Spear offense to try and find themselves a hot start. I thought maybe 1T was going to be able to find it there, but all of a sudden they're going the opposite way with it, and Sir Penguin the 4th is going to strike first. It only takes 35 seconds for the Miners to put themselves in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and a little mishap there for the Spartan Spear there. Ran into each other on the way back on the field. Maybe gave them the opportunity in order to get ahead with the ball and get the breakaway.
Solid for now. There's only one, though. Now one shot could turn things back around and tie it up. If you are this Spartan Spear squad, starts with finding the clear. Also worth noting, and we didn't talk about it at the start of the game, but they did have a sub coming in here in the game number 2. Orc Gutter stepping on in. I'm trying to remember the name of the 3rd player that was in that spot. I do believe it was Dragon Master. But unfortunately for Dragon Master, they're sitting by and watching that it hasn't really resulted in much of a change of the gameplay thus far. The Miners have came out here in game number 2 and seemingly have not missed a step from the success that they were finding in game 1.
Yeah, and I think subbing in that player there, you do remove a little bit of that synergy. But at the same time, that can provide that mental reset that the players are looking for after losing a game 1 in such fashion.
Well, they didn't get the mental reset between games. We got to find a way to pump the brakes and get the mental reset right now. Otherwise, you run the risk of game number 2 getting out of control in that same fashion that it did in game number 1. And we talked about it ad nauseum over the course of that game number 1. Once it gets out of control, it is really hard to get the handle back on down. So it's up to the Spartan Spears to lock it in here and lock it in now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Spartan Spears right now, it looks like they're having a little bit of a hard time getting up on these early contests, and they're falling back into the habits of letting the miners here come in and just control the pace of the game, absolutely, by getting the touches on the ball first.
Wally carries it across the goal, which I always feel such a risky scenario to put yourself in, but I guess up by 3, you're not really too concerned about it here. Plents will go from left to right on the side of your screen. Was trying to seize the control instead. Let's give the Miners another opportunity inside of their half. Eventually, we'll be able to find the clear. Can you drop it onto your hood? No, it will be Sir Penguin who picks the pocket, looks to go the other way. Fishy Friend pops it on up. Can you find the second touch? It's a pass towards the middle. Moali's shot does get denied.
And we're finally making our way back over onto the blue half of the field here. They do have a little bit of boost to play with, but it looks like they are going to look to retreat just a little bit and recoup before they attack.
1 second, maybe an opportunity off the double whip D with 1T. At least keeps it alive down on the side, but as everyone starts to move up the field here for the Miners, they're looking to flip the field, and their counter attack has been strong all day long, proving once again why you can never really let up off of the gas when you're retreating back to D.
Yeah, and the rotations, they're just absolutely clean. Fishy Friend being right in place to intercept on the other side of the field when they're making the pass up from the left side there.
Fishy Friend puts it up onto their car, looks to pop it up and send it towards the net. Won't find the control there. Will Sir Penguin, who looks to pick it up, and it's all around the midfield line. Spartan Spear steps forward but can't quite gather the handle. Not until 1T finds the Kablamo onto 1. That's a little bit of extra space. That was what we were talking about, was trying to find a little bit of additional room off the back of the demos. Just unfortunately couldn't capitalize. Eventually we'll be able to send it down towards the other side, but the Miners doing what they do best in limiting those trips into the blue half.
Yeah, and I think those demos are going to be what allow the Spartan Sphere in order to be able to get that pressure that they need. They might not be able to get it from where they can place the ball in terms of getting it in the air, but they can definitely get it from just taking the members of the Miners off of the field of play.
Double kablooey means one player on either side gone, but the good news for Spartan Spear, I was going to say, is you have a defender back with some boost, but it looks like for the side of the Miners, it doesn't matter because you've got Sir Penguin the 5th. They're going to carry it and slot it top left corner to make it 5-0.
Yeah, with 1.5 minutes left in the game here, the shot score, the Spartan Spirit has still not even been able to put up a shot. Meanwhile, there is 8 shots put up from the Miners here, and honestly quite evenly spread throughout them as well.
That was one thing that we, I feel like last time we saw the Miners was relatively early on in the day, but we did say this is one of those squads that seems to be relatively balanced. And they continue to prove so here, even in the quarterfinals of our playoff bracket. Remember, for the Miners, you'll win this game and one more. Not only do you solidify yourself a dance in the semifinals, but that is solidifying a top 4 finish as well, which means you secure your ticket to that Scholastic Invitational next weekend.
Yeah, and that ticket to the National Invitational is really what these teams are vying for here. Regardless if you come out in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, these teams all want a chance to compete at the national level and just really bring what they have to the highest level we have.
One thing to be able to call yourself a champ in your own province, but to be able to take it to the national level, to even have that opportunity, is something that you got to be thankful for. We kind of talked about the top of things, man. To be able to have an opportunity like this for our Scholastic students is oh so cool. So the fact that over the course of the next, hour and a half here or so, we're sending 6 different schools at the U18 level to that Scholastic Invitational, pretty darn cool. As far as for now, though, with the Miners now going up 7 in this series here, it looks like they are got to be feeling pretty good about their chances of playing next weekend.
Yeah, it looks with the 7-0 of this game and the 8-1 of the previous, looks like the Miners have not let up once in this series.
exactly what you're looking for a squad, understanding the assignment coming into the quarterfinals. A team that, while others were playing in round number 1, needed to make sure that they could kind of carry over that heat from the success that they had in group stages. They were able to do just that. They're looking pretty darn good here. And, well, one game away from at minimum guaranteeing themselves top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Miners right now have a lot of freedom in order to just play their absolute hearts out here and play with absolutely like no repercussions here. Like if they lose this game, they still got one more to win that they could take to go to semifinals. On the other side, Spartan Spear, they also have nothing to lose. If they lose this game here, this is it for their tournament run. And unfortunately, they don't win a trip to nationals. But if they can play their absolute best here, they can still have a chance to make it there.
They will still technically have a chance. So our 4 teams that drop in quarterfinals here, they will be playing off stream in a little LCQ. Because remember, we have 6 squads from Alberta that will be going to that Scholastic Invitational next weekend. So top 4 are guaranteed. You win here, that's guaranteed. For the teams that lose here, they'll be playing off stream. We'll be trying to keep you guys updated as much as possible. But of course, we still have a little bit of a ways to get until we get to there. As far as for this series, the Miners have been looking pretty darn impressive. I believe they've only let up 1 goal. So surely feeling pretty good as far as heading into game number 3. I am being updated as far as our first semi-finalist and first team to be able to punch their ticket into that Scholastic Invitational next week. Samurai Gold, who were able to take down LTCHS Raiders A in a sweep. Let's go ahead and get down to it. Can the Miners join them in sweeping fashion? Well, we've got 5 minutes to figure it out here, Pepper.
Yeah, let's see here if the Miners will be able to close out this series here based on their previous performance. Looks like they're not going to have a very difficult time. I see Dragon Master has been subbed in, actually.
Dragon Master has been subbed in, and what's been interesting is they have gone with a different iteration of 3 for every game, right? Ort Gutter was the one that sat out game number 1. Dragon Master sat out game number 2. This time it'll be 1T will be sitting on the sidelines. And I do gotta say, for a team that has made it to the top 8, to have that sub, we'll see some teams at the Scholastic level really be able to utilize it, because when you have like 4 different players who are kind of all around that same level of play, sometimes it's just about finding the 3 players who are the hottest on that day. As far as for now, though, the Miners say it doesn't matter what 3 players you bring out to the pitch, we're just going to continue to score.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think there can be some disadvantages, though, to that. The more you swap around, the less time your team has to gain that synergy together. And like we talked about earlier in the day, that synergy between your team and how the teammates work together can sometimes be even more important than just individual skill.
Definitely can agree. I feel like at competitive gaming, really on a lot of titles that I feel like I work with, it's never always about just finding the best 4. It's how they fit into one another, which is always an interesting dynamic to try and search for here. Talk about first 75 seconds going by in game number 3. While the Miners maybe haven't been able to jump out to a 2, 3, 4 goal lead like they have in past games in the opening minute of play, they've still been able to control the pace, and they've been able to control the possession. And right now, it just feels like using this game number 3 as a victory lap.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just playing around with the ball at this point and seeing what they can go for. Well, yet again, the Spartan Spear just try their absolute best to get the ball out of the zone, but they just can't maintain control of it.
Penguin work in the corner. I thought was almost going to be able to find a way to leave a pass in the middle. A double kablamo. Can't find the space off of it, though, because the ball was left behind, which is quite unfortunate here. Does allow for the Miners to get back in off of respawn, and even off of that, able to take the possession here. Sir Penguin, the 4th, can you drop it into that bottom left-hand corner? Couldn't quite without the save, but it's Fishy Friend off of the rebound. Puts the Miners up by 2.
Yeah, a little bit of an overcommit there from Spartan Spear on the defense there. They got all 3 members committing to 1 block at the exact same time.
See those come across. A tough situation to be in, because now you only rely on 1 more player to have to make that more important second stop. And if you can't, you kind of saw the results of it right there. It really does feel as the series has progressed. While the Miners have been able to stay locked in, it feels like Spartan Spear has continued to feel the pressure. It's just, at this point, just an accumulation of 2.5 games of Rocket League where you've only found 1 goal. However, as I'm talking about that, Dragon Master is able to take this 2-goal lead that the Miners currently had and cut it in half.
And, you know, Dragon Master from the first game that he played in was the other goal that they had achieved, I believe. So it looks like they have found their squad a little bit here with Dragon Master, Plunce, and Orc Gutter in terms of being able to get some goals in net.
Can you avoid them going in your net on the other side is the question. We've seen the Miners find a whole lot of success in that regard. Remember, it was 8-1 in game 1, 7-0 in game 2. And well, they just gave themselves a multi-goal lead again here relatively lately in game number 3.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that they couldn't get back in time in order to defend that after they had just gone for an attempt on the net of... Oh. What an angle from Mo Ali in the corner.
That is a heck of an angle from Mo Ali. Does a great job of stepping on in. I thought the English of it was almost going to cause it to hit the bar and bounce out, but gets the friendly roll. Shooters shoot, and shooters sometimes get the roll as well. Miners go up by 3.
Yeah, good little kickoff from the Miners here as well. Overall, their play after kickoff has been incredible. The rotations in order to grab boost and still maintain that pressure, even when they lose kickoff and transition, has just been fantastic for this whole series.
They'll keep pressure down in here after Fishy Friend is able to pick the pockets, able to steal the cookies, keeps it down here for the Miners. Only 1 shot though, and all of a sudden it's the other way. It's Orc Gutter who's going to be able to find a second here for Spartan Spear as they show they've still got some fight left in them.
Yeah, Orc Gutter using the power of friendship there just to go over the top of the Miners and make a second goal in the series and bring the score down to half.
2-goal differential. Still possible for sure, but you have to start moving with a sense of urgency. You can no longer rely on just hoping to get the rolls. You have to find a way to make the Miners uncomfortable, and they just haven't seemed to be successful in that regards. While they've been able to turn up pressure, it's just always felt like the Miners have had a grasp on the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think doing something to prevent the Miners from being able to just play the way they want. It looks like they might have found something here as all the Miners get tied up on the right side of the field, allowing a Plentz to score another goal here.
That puts the Miners up 4-3 as they are now 1:13 away from securing themselves a top 4 as they would look to join not only LCI Samurai Gold but our 2-time champions EMT Marauders in that top 4. And again, keeping in mind that those top 4 automatically get a bid to next weekend. But you know what? The Spartan Spear squad have something to say about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to start with the comeback. They got that one, and honestly, ever since, they've just been snowballing their goals here, bringing it in the last like 30 seconds to a tie score now.
You need to push it across the goal line because remember, unfortunately, you dropped the first 2. So if you fumble here at the goal line and allow the Miners to take game number 3, all this fight will be for naught. Here's the shot that comes across, and Fishy Friend is going to be able to find the 5th, and the Miners are back in the lead.
Yeah, all the way from downtown, across the field, making it just in time to get that extra touch to put it in the net there. And like I had said earlier, those additional touches you can put in there really matter and will throw off the opposing defense or offense in many ways.
5 seconds. Miners have a 1-goal lead. At this point, you would just love to be able to keep the possession. But if they do find themselves one more goal, it feels like that could very well be the final one. Sir Penguin will be able to push it up high in the sky. Mo Ali, second touch will bury it even deeper inside this orange half. Remember, they do have the lead. They don't need a second goal, though. Every touch that sends it into the orange half, even if it's just 5 or 7 seconds, takes away precious time off the clock.
Absolutely, and they're doing a good job of juggling it here on the opposite end, just making sure that the ball doesn't go near their net. Well, the clock ticks down here on the last couple seconds of this match.
In a 0-second goal, a miracle here to try and keep things alive, but instead, the ball touches down. The Miners secure themselves not only a spot in the semifinals, but punch their ticket to the Scholastic National Invitational just next week. Again, like I had mentioned before, joining LCI Samurai Gold and EMT Marauders as well, which means we're only waiting for that results between BFCHS Gold and Mel's Voyagers 1 to lock in our top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at the Miners here, absolutely dominant performance in this previous match against the Spartan Spear. However, they are going up against the 2-time reigning national champions EMT Marauders in this next match. And so I have a feeling that the outcomes here are going to look a lot different in terms of score.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we have probably just about seen the end of rounds full of sweeps, if I have to guess, as we do get prepared to head into that top 4. And yeah, talk about an unfortunate present you've earned yourself for the Miners. Hey, you've got yourself a top 4. Woo! Here's the dance with the 2-time defending champions. I guess at least, you know, if you drop this one here, you've already got your chance for the invitational next week, so you're still good to go. And surely they will have their hands full with that one indeed. I do believe, however, that one will be happening off stream. The game that we will be having on stream will be LCI Samurai Gold between the winner of BFCHS Gold and Mel's Voyagers 1. So we're waiting for that last series to come across. We might have ourselves a little bit longer of a break. I do know we've been going at things for quite a bit though. So, you know, if you've been at your desk hanging out with us, feel free to step on up, take yourself a little bit of walk, stretch the legs a little bit. I have a feeling we're in for a doozy here for our last 2 matchups of the day. So we're going to go ahead and take ourselves a little bit of a break. And on the other side, we'll be back with our ASEL Fall Provincial Qualifiers here in the semifinal round.